Round 7 of the A-League men's competition is here. Wanderers with the bye this week. The game on the Friday night is up in Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium. The Raw against Melbourne City. Now, Paletti, Jacob, I think this game could be interesting. You know how I feel about the Raw. They came so close to somehow both winning and losing on the weekend. It was quite crazy. They ended up getting a draw out of it. I think this is their first win. City have been a team that has been plagued with injuries in the front third. That will, I think, play a little bit into how weak Brisbane's defence has been. And at home, in front of some of their fans, it ends up a bit cavernous over at Suncorp Stadium. But Jacob, I think, I'm going to call it, it's not my official prediction, but Brisbane Raw is my tip, going to get their first win of the season.
I think it's definitely on the cards. City haven't looked fantastic and obviously lacking a lot of attacking threat up front with injuries and things like that. They have got Suleimani back, but like you pointed out before we started recording, obviously he didn't even get the start over Mehmedi on the weekend. So look, Brisbane, they've shown enough going forwards to potentially be a threat here. Defensively is still the question. I know that's what Paletti thinks is, there's no way that Brisbane can win because they're just going to concede, one more goal than they managed to score. But we've also got to remember it's City that they're up against. So, City not the most prolific goal scorer this season, as they have been in seasons past where, they've been known for their attacking football. That's not the case. So, I can definitely see Brisbane getting one up over City, but just with the form that these two teams are in, I don't think either of them have quite enough confidence perhaps to have that killer instinct and to put it to bed. So I'm actually going to say that this one's probably going to be a draw.
Ooh, okay. Lee?
Do I think Brisbane can get a point out of this? Yes. Do I think they will? Maybe. I was... If anyone saw our group chats on Saturday night, literally, I was giving you crap non-stop for basically the entire 90 minutes. Because it's like, come on, how is this happening? And then it's like, you can't write this when they lost the lead again and then they got it back. 2-1 goals in this one. They're not likely to get that lucky again. For me, I think a draw.
Okay, interesting. I think this is actually a good time to go to Christian with his prediction.
Okay, time to redeem myself. So for this week, I'm going to go with Melbourne City to score under 1.5 goals against Brisbane. I just think this Raw side are going to shore up the defence a bit after shipping 4 against MacArthur. So expect that. And for the second tip, I'm going to go with MacArthur to bounce back and defeat Western United.
That's a pretty reasonable prediction. My only concern is how many different shades of green is the Suncorp pitch going to be in terms of what sort of vibe City can pull from this game? Because, if it's 10 or less, then maybe they're in with half a shout of actually putting on the goal scoring boots. If it's any more than 10, I don't think anyone's playing good football.
10 what? Sorry, what scale are we talking?
10 shades of green.
Oh, okay. I got lost there.
Paletti's going to count individual pixels on their TV screen to make sure. But no, that's...
It said it's Paletti's manual grass counter.
Yeah.
What's your margin for error?
99%.
All right, very nice. Let's move on. The big game of the week is Auckland FC and Wellington Phoenix. Will Booth shut down Counter-Strike and he's got on the call to join us. We've got to stick to tight schedules on the Round Ball Australia channel, but welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. So thank you. No worries. I'm here.
What do you think about Auckland v Wellington, the second Kiwi Classico?
We said it the inverse about Perth and predicting their first win. I feel like the same with Auckland, and you don't really want to predict their first loss. So I think, you got to kind of go with momentum and gambler's fallacy, and it's going to keep happening. So I see an Auckland win here, but a good game. Obviously a big game, a game of the round here for sure.
Obviously, I think Auckland definitely going in as favourites to win, but my official prediction is that Wellington Phoenix will score a goal and break the run of clean sheets for Auckland into the season. I think, they still have a very good squad, can beat any team over 90 minutes, we know. But one thing you don't want to do to Giancarlo Italiano is give him a second look at the same system, the same players, because they've been very stable. That's what he loves. That's what he works with. He's like a really good MLB hitter, right? You want to change up the pitches. You don't want to give him a second look because he'll be able to figure it out. He'll be able to work through it. Because they played in round 3 the first time around, so that's only 2 games worth of competitive fixtures for Italiano to scout and work with. So Jacob. I think maybe it doesn't quite get away with the win. Maybe I need to throw Paletti instead. Paletti maybe doesn't quite get the win, but I think they will get a goal.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, how I don't remember the first Kiwi Classico all that vividly, but I feel like they had some good chances, and
they did.
Even though it was sort of like teetering towards a 0-0 until that cataclysmic error by Oluwemi towards the end. So I definitely think it's worth a shout.
All right, sounds good. Let's go to the Newcastle Jets versus Adelaide United. Jacob, how do you see this one coming out?
Look, I mean, Adelaide's probably not going to lose this one to the Jets. I think that there's enough quality in the Reds' front line to score the goals. Obviously, the big question is defensively, will they have enough to prevent an upset here? But we haven't seen much from the Jets to suggest that they have enough attacking prowess to really be. I mean, they obviously got the result over, was it MacArthur a few rounds ago, but that was a tight one, a 2-1 victory, and heavily reliant on just the one player in that game. So, look, I'm going to tip in favour of Adelaide, and look, it's going to continue their crazy run to start the season, and this is actually, I'm going to come out with my prediction here, which is that Adelaide are going to finish the round in second spot. They've had such a ridiculous start to the season. It means they've got to leapfrog the victory. If they win and victory draw, they have to win by at least 3 goals because of goal difference. Or if they win and victory lose, so basically Adelaide have to win, but they'll finish the round in second spot. Is my official prediction, because it's just a weird start to the season for Adelaide. Like, they haven't looked good enough to be undefeated, and yet here they are sitting in third. And I think that this is the sort of game here, this fixture against the Jets, where they've sort of managed to avoid the banana peel against Perth the round before, came away with a sloppy draw there, and could go on here. If they get the win here, this could be huge for the season. So I don't know why. I'm tipping in favour of Adelaide, and I think they're going to finish the round in second.
That tippy tap of keyboards after you said that, I think means that Will, Paletti and I all just kind of really quickly looked at the table to see what that would mean. Yeah. Will, and I think your laugh halfway through meant that you discovered the same thing that I did. Do you want to ask him, or shall I?
No, you got it.
Okay, Jacob, do you know who Victory are playing next week?
I do, yes. I know they're playing Perth.
At home.
Yes, I know. But, no, okay, ridicule me all you want right now. But in a week's time, if this comes off, you will look so ridiculous, right? I don't care if I look ridiculous now. I've just said Adelaide being undefeated right now is ridiculous, right? I'm just going full in on just hilarity at this point. If it comes off, it's 3-pointer, right? Because Victory are gonna beat Perth, right? If by some miracle they don't, Adelaide managed to get a 3-goal win, I will be laughing all the way to the 3 points. All
right, very nice. Well, we'll get to Victory glory, but just finish off this one, Will. Jets and United, somehow, United still undefeated. Jets almost pulled off their Kiwi specialty again, not quite. They went down the last few minutes to Auckland. Do you give them any chance here?
They've showed. They're inconsistent between games, right? Like, they played really well and probably deserved something out of the F3 derby. They were unlucky not to win that. They were dominant, but against probably a poor Mariners side. And then in the Auckland game, didn't show too much. It's like every round it's up and down for them. So I don't know. Maybe that means they pull it back this game and they have a good showing. And I think Adelaide are beatable. That's probably the table lies a bit with Adelaide's position right now. So yeah. I think it's winnable for the Jets. I don't want to write them off and Jacob's prediction is quite left field there. So
all right, Paletti, take us to Western and the Bulls.
I mean, Western United coming off an absolute battering against the Victory. Western United did get on the score sheet, and that's all I'll say about that. MacArthur coming off the back of a 4-4 thriller with the Raw. Really should have won it. I mean, I can't go past MacArthur here. I really can't. I think, okay, they conceded 2 own goals, very unlucky. They've got the finishing power. Mile Stoyoski's starting to get his, preferred starting 11 back together. Jed Drew, Jay Coleman coming back from injury. I think Whether they'll start is another question entirely, but I can't see MacArthur losing this one.
Jacob, do you concur?
Yeah. Look, I think that I've seen some good things from Western so far this season. I think that their midfield has been particularly a bright spot for them. I think Angus Sergate has had a fantastic season so far. But they just sort of are lacking in the two final thirds, right? In their attacking third, in their defensive third. That's where they've got those weaknesses, because they've brought Ibasuki in, but they've not really put in the deliveries for him. They've not got him involved. But Botic, on the other hand, is having a decent season. So, perhaps we see them revert to something like just a one-striker setup and just try and get Botic involved more and more, because he's the one that's scoring at the moment. That could be an option for them. And then defensively, they're still a bit weak as well. And Paletti, I think, touched on quite nicely there that, yes, okay, MacArthur have conceded 4 in the last round, but it was just such a chaotic game that you can't really bemoan that happening. It's going to happen to every side this season, where they're going to have one of those sloppy games and silly goals are conceded and things like that. That just happened to be the one for MacArthur, and I do think they are the better side, so I think they'll probably get the job done there.
I think, unfortunately for MacArthur, they've kind of come up against teams just at the wrong moment.
Yeah.
Like they got the win, obviously, against Sydney. That was a nice, kind of just snatch and grab with the red card and everything. They came up against Newcastle when Eli Adams just decided to score a couple of goals. Melbourne victory at home that wanted to prove themselves at the start of the season. Auckland on this run of, not even conceding a goal. They probably slipped up against Brisbane, but now they're going to have to come up against Western. And John Aloisi was not happy today after that loss to Melbourne victory. So I reckon they're going to get a bit of rev up. They're playing, I think it's just the second game of the season out in Tarniat. So they get to go, home in quotation marks, very big quotation marks. But I think they're going to get a bit of a rev up, and I think MacArthur are going to fall victim just to timing a little bit again, and I'm going to say a draw in this one is my predicted result. Let's go Melbourne victory, Perth glory on Sunday afternoon. Will, take us away.
Yeah, I think Perth games are exciting no matter what at this stage. Just exciting to see what will happen, and I think, I don't know, at this point it's gone on a bit too far, and I kind of want to see them win. I kind of, it's at the point where you're feeling bad for them in a way. So I'd love to say that, to see them get something out of this one. But Victory are looking like they're playing pretty good football at the moment. Like I wouldn't want to come up against them. They had some really, really nice patterns and nice passages against Western on the weekend. So not a good time to play them. I think it looks like it's clicking for Victory. I think the only possible outcome in this one is a comprehensive Victory win.
I tell you what, I was feeling sorry for Perth after the first game. I don't know about the rest of you. It's certainly not been an easy ride for them. I certainly can't see them doing anything against a Victory side, Paletti, that look pretty strong at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they are, as you said, they're looking quite strong. For some reason, Kisnorbo still doesn't seem to want to use Fornaroli, although when he is using him, he scores. Could this be the week that we see Fornaroli start?
Yeah, I think so.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. I think
he's just been such an impact off the bench every time he's been used off the bench. Whether it was that free kick against Wellington, scoring the goal against Western, and that was such a great goal for him to score as well against Western, because yes, okay, the pass in behind was brilliant, but it was all created from him. It was great movement off the ball, a good run in behind, and then a fantastic finish as well off a great first-time touch. So, I think that it's definitely with a shout to start. And if he does and he performs well, that might leave PK feeling a little bit silly.
It's also not silly. It's also just about rotating at the right times, right? Like you look at the Piscopo Arzani stuff, and Piscopo's done really well because Arzani was out for the first round. Piscopo just took his opportunity well. He's got a little niggle. Arzani's come in, also done really well. I guess it's just such a luxury to have so many good players coming off your bench, and if someone's out for whatever reason, whether it's form or injury or whatever, you can have someone step up and be that way. And I think both Daniel and Bruno can feel a bit hard done by for not having the playing time, but that just comes with the territory of having such a strong squad. Yeah.
I was going to say, and I think this is where my prediction is good to slot in. I've literally, as soon as I said that, I've regretted opening my mouth. So I did discuss this before we hit the record button. and I've just decided to say bugger it. This is going to be my prediction. With 2 lots of overlapping games, one lot on the Saturday, Jets and Adelaide is a 5 p.m. kickoff, Western and Macarthur is a 6 p.m. kickoff, Victory in Perth is a 5 p.m. kickoff, and the Mariners and Sydney FC is a 6 p.m. kickoff on the Sunday. I'm going to predict that in at least one of those 2 sets of games that the scoreboards will read identical at one point throughout.
So if there's a goal...
No, don't ask.
I wasn't going to ask. Remember? I was just saying it's like goalless first half and you got it. Okay, yeah. Okay. No clarification. I guess personal clarification.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Can of worms. That's a can of worms.
Can of worms. We like feeding.
It's going to be a long one next week, I think.
Sorry, Jacob. If I pull this off, I think I might take the 3 points ahead of you, even if you pull yours off, mate.
I didn't actually mean to be that aggressive, because I thought you were going to leak something to Paletti, because in my head I had it that they were starting at the same time, and it was just going to be 0-0, 0-0.
Oh, yeah.
And then we would have said it was a very low bar. But obviously, in my low energy state, it's an hour's gap. Of course, on Saturday, that's because the Matildas are playing the late slot, so work it out. Do we have any idea why they're overlapping on the Sunday?
My assumption is because I'm assuming
summer, right?
Yeah, summer kickoffs, and I'm also assuming because of just where both sides are at in the Champions League. Their respective Champions League. That's why they've got the latest maximum recovery time.
Sydney in terms of goes to late time on Sunday makes sense.
Yeah.
And then if you're playing a single header, it has to be 5 p.m. or later. So I guess unless you're playing with time zones, which is difficult when Perth play away and then the Kiwi Classic goes on Saturday. All right, makes sense. That's all right. Well, let's go to the Mariners, Sydney FC. Will, obviously one team having significantly more success than the other at the moment.
And I was thinking about this fixture, and I don't think that really matters in this game. This feels like a game that form doesn't really carry through, and the results are often against what you kind of think. I think over the years, it's always a fun fixture. I always definitely enjoy watching this one, and it always feels pretty fiery. But yeah, as I said, like I don't think so. Sydney did the double over Mariners last season when they smacked every other team, and there always seems to be like Mariners when they were rubbish, they would still get a result against Sydney in this game. So it's hard to call this one based off form. I think a bit of that goes out the window, and Sydney will be wanting some semi-final revenge from last season as well. So this will be a fiery game. I can slot my prediction in here, I guess, as well. I'm going to go both teams to score in this one, and I am going to double that with both teams to score in the Kiwi Derby as well. So yours was Wellington to score and break Auckland stuff, but yeah, that was also kind of slot part of mine there. But looking forward to this, and I think Central Coast at home. We're saying with the time of the game, it's 6 p.m. I think any later and it's kind of too late on a Sunday arvo for the Mariners, and the crowd kind of dissipates a bit. But hopefully 6 p.m. arvo game-ish or evening game, sun's still out. It'll be a nice time out there, and the crowds get around it as well.
It's a good point about the reverse record, because like last year the Mariners doing so well, Sydney still managed to do them well in the league phase. A couple of red cards, I think, if memory serves me correctly, kind of altered things in the semi-finals. But Jacob, I wonder if that goes the other way.
It could do. Have we seen enough from the Mariners to think that that's possible? I don't know, but like Will said, you do sort of throw form out of the window with these games, especially given the history of the two sides where it could go either way. It'll definitely be entertaining to watch. We know what Sydney can do really well in terms of just completely suffocating oppositions, in attack, and just not letting them breathe. Conversely, it does leave them quite open at the back and in defensive transition, which is where the Mariners might look to pounce, sort of go back to a little bit of that Monty ball that they played, a couple of seasons ago, where it was, a heavy focus on counter-attacking. I think would be a pretty smart way to set up for the Mariners in this game. In terms of a result, this is honestly the one game where I don't think I could say for sure what the result is going to be, if it's going to be a win for one team or a draw, because it could just be anything in this one. Both teams obviously have played a lot of football already. Both teams, as we've mentioned, have Asian commitments still. It's going to be definitely an interesting watch, but I can't say for sure that I think it's going to be a draw. I think one team's going to win over the other, because there's just too many variables in this one.
All right. Well, I'm going to say a Sydney win. I reckon they get it.
We do agree on this one, Lockie. I think it's a good time slot. It's always for Sydney fans. It's one of the great away days. See a lot of the Hawaiian shirts come out. The trip up to Gosford, late afternoon on a Sunday. I think Sydney FC will just be a little bit extra motivated to perform in front of the travelling fans, and they'll walk away with the 3 points.
All right, well, I just want to say I'm very proud of everyone. We've managed to slot predictions in natural course throughout the preview. Yeah. You don't have to do this a little awkward. Have we missed anyone at the episode? Well done. We're very professional here. Let's get into doing the votes for last week, and it is a glorious day.
And this is where we get unprofessional.
Yeah, we get unprofessional very quickly. You're not wrong, but we're all in a good mood because Christian has got their prediction wrong, so he's out the door for the votes.
Yes.
We're celebrating. He will not get to add to his lead. I'm not sure if he'll lose it. I can't remember what the votes were. But we have Will and Jacob correct. Well done. Congratulations. No 0-all draws in 2 games with at least one team that scored 3. So you guys are in the running for top honours. But let's start with myself and Paletti. I don't know, Paletti, how do you want to run this? So I said that there'd be at least 4 goals in the City Wanderers. I got 2 out of 4, not very good. You said that 3 teams beginning with M, of which there were 3, would get at least 6 points. In my opinion, they were all favourites to win their games, and they only got 4 points. I think we've both done pretty terrible. Do you want to just leave it to Will and Jacob? They can sort it out quickly.
I mean, I would at least like to make a slight case as to why I should get the point over you. And mine is simply mine had a greater degree of difficulty than Lockie, and I also got closer.
I just think it's a lower bar, to be honest, and I think if City have there's
that bar again.
I think it is, and I just Nathaniel Atkinson blares one over the bar, and Mehdi doesn't get one on the post. The Wanderers had more opportunities as well.
Again, Lockie, though, you're coming back to the argument of goals that weren't scored that should count as goals.
I'm not saying they should count. I'm just saying
to use that argument, MacArthur had a 4-3 lead with 180 seconds to go.
And they were also down. They were also down in the game multiple times.
And then they came back multiple times. I say, to use your argument of ifs and buts.
I'm not saying I got it correct. You guys are misinterpreting me all over the place. I'm just saying I think mine is closer and a little bit more difficult than Ploy's. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we both had our say. Will, Jacob.
Lockie, what was yours again?
At least 4 goals total in the City Wanderers game.
In the City Wanderers, okay.
Should we just give a point to Christian because it would be funny?
No.
Yeah, it's close. It is really close. That's hard to call. What are you leaning towards, Jacob? I think Lockie's was less likely to happen. I think 6 points out of the 9 was probably likelier. So therefore a lower bar.
Who hang on, I can't even remember the fixtures from last week.
It's MacArthur, Brisbane, Melbourne City, Wanderers, and Victory against United. 3 teams with M.
Yeah.
I agree with Lockie. They were all favourites.
I do think.
Hang on. This might go against me here, but no. I think Lockie, you've made a mistake.
What do you mean?
I think I said 7 points.
No, I went back and listened. You said 6.
Jacob did it today.
Yeah,
okay, my apologies. I thought I said 7.
So
okay.
Even lower bar.
No, you said 6. I will say this. I do think that if Paletti was spot on, that's not then a low bar, if that makes sense, because they are then predicting one of these big favourites to drop points. But I think as it is,
I think, okay, I'm going to go for creativity over, I don't know how close it is, because I think that's too hard to call, really. But I like Paletti's creativity in the prediction. So I'm going to start with Paletti.
It's unique.
It is unique. I like that. I like that. So
I've had a target on my back ever since I won last year. I can feel it. It's burning a hole in me.
Maybe get more than 50% of your prediction.
I'll cop it. You know what? I'm going to cop it. I'm going to show up at the end of the year with another ring on my finger, and I'll show you. I'll show you.
But it's not going to be in the fantasy, though, is it?
Long way to go. Long way to go, champ. All right. Fine. Whatever. Paletti can have a vote. I don't care. Tell me about it. I'm still equal top with Christian, so well, I won't be after this. Jacob and Will. All right. Would you two like to make some opening statements?
I'll say that Will, spot on. Good job. That's a good prediction. I do like that one. No 0-0 draws, because we know that, we know obviously that it's a high-scoring league, but there's always the possibility of an extremely boring game. And there were a couple of them there. City Wanderers had the potential to be that, for sure.
Well, it was a boring game, I can tell you.
It was a boring game, but there were at least some goals in it. Adelaide and Glory similarly could have been 0-0, I think, just because both teams could have had an off day. So you did get it right, but I will say, was it 3.2 goals per average per game in the A-League? It's still a ways off.
Doesn't mean anything. That means sometimes there's 6, sometimes there's 0.
That is true. That is true. I don't think there's anything I can say to try and I didn't really come up with my prediction thinking, oh, what are the historical statistics of the. I came into the recording without a prediction, much like this week, and had to make one up on the spot, and that's what I came up with. I can't really justify my prediction more than I got it right. I got it spot on. Will also got it spot on. I can't really argue my case much more than that.
What was Jacob's again?
Jacob's was that there would be 2 games with at least one team that scores 3 goals.
Okay. So it's all right.
2 games.
I think, much like I went for creativity with Paletti's point there, I think the fact that I got one right is pretty astounding, and that should be rewarded in it. So that's more that adds to the difficulty, because it's me. I got one right? Like, look at the track record this season; it's not pretty.
Well, okay, I'm gonna make an argument that's probably gonna lead towards Jacob here.
Leave in the chat.
Actually, no, it might lean towards Will. I'm not too sure. There was one less game this week. It's usually a 6-day match week. There was one less game this week, so I don't know if that leans in Will's favour or Jacob's favour, because Jacob's got less games.
Favour.
But then so does Will.
No, I've got less games to have a 0-0 draw, I guess.
Also, how many 0-0 draws were there last season? 4?
Okay. At a certain point, there was not many, but I think there was by the end of the season.
There hasn't been one this season, I don't think.
Oh no, there has.
Oh, there has.
Yeah. I think there's been 2 in the first couple of weeks.
I'm looking.
Oh, that's right. It was a slow start, wasn't it?
It
Mariners
was
victory,
Central
the first
Mariners,
game.
Perth Glory in round 3.
That's right. Yeah.
Mariners have had
victory
2
in
of
round
them.
1.
I think it's
Those
Jacob
are the
by a fair distance, to be honest. I think
I'll cop that.
0-0 draws.
I'm not going to put up much of a fight. I'm happy that I got it correct.
I think this is one of those ones where we're both like, we got it 100% correct. Like, we can't really argue.
It's about difficulty.
And
Yeah.
Will's basically doing what I did last week, where it's just like, I got the 2 points. It's like, no arguments here. I'm not saying no, I'll take it.
I'm happy to be
I'll
on
take
the
3.
board.
I'll take 3.
Yeah.
All right, 3 votes for Jacob, 2 for Will, 1 for Paletti. That means Jacob goes out in the outright lead with 10 votes. Christian closely following on 9, myself on 7, Paletti 6, and Will has doubled his total to 4.
Hey.
All right. Well,
You're in the hunt now, Will.
We take those.
So we're spreading around the votes a little bit more. Paletti and Will still without a 3 voter, but you're warming up.
Should have had one. Should have had one.
When?
It was between you and Paletti a couple of rounds ago, and I had to make. Was it me that had to make that call?
I think it was
on the,
you.
on the difficulty
Like
of the
round 2,
prediction
right,
or
okay.
something. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. There are the votes for this week. I guess we'll see you next time. See you later.